Okay, welcome back. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at focusing your camera, or more specifically, using the autofocus in your camera. There's many different focusing modes. We're going to focus on the more traditional method, which is that half press of the shutter button, which focuses your camera, which I showed you earlier when we were adjusting the diopter of your camera as well. So we should be familiar with this. But before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about what focus is. Okay, now there are many things that we can fix after we've taken a photo. We can possibly fix a slightly dark image or a slightly brighter image, but one thing we just literally cannot fix is an out of focus picture. It doesn't matter what sharpening modes there are in whichever program you use to edit your photos, you cannot fix out of focus images. You just can't. So the most important thing when taking a photo, you guessed it, it's focus, okay? Okay, so we're going to bring up some photos on the screen now just as I'm talking, and some of these are going to be in focus and some of these will be out of focus. Just have a look at the examples we're showing you for a moment. It should be really obvious which pictures are the better pictures, okay? Now we've got the really obvious out of focus ones, and then we've got what we refer to as the pin sharp photos. That's what we're striving for, okay? It's not even somewhere in the middle there, okay? Now, pin sharp focus might also be referred to as what we would call critical focus, where a picture is as sharp as it can be, but we want to make sure that it's not sat on that out of focus side and it's not sat in the middle somewhere. It should be as sharp as we can get it. So have a look at these examples just as we're talking here. Take note of them, perhaps compare them to some of your photos. You might think that, oh, actually that out of focus one looks a lot like a photo I took a few weeks back, or you might think, actually I've nailed focus, in which case you're doing great. Okay, so we've shown you now what focus is. We've shown you how to focus your cameras with that half press of your camera's shutter button. So we're doing well so far. Now, the next thing we need to show you is basically how to change your autofocus mode. We're going to show you a really effective way to focus your pictures and also adjust your composition. But to do that, we perhaps need to adjust our camera mode. We're going to be using something called single point autofocus, and depending on what camera you use, this may or may not change with regards to the phrasing of it in the menus. Okay, so it might be something more like center point focus, single point focus, but we're going to try and get you to find that in your camera system. Okay, so open up your menus, have a look for your autofocus mode section somewhere, and see if you can find something called single point autofocus or words to that effect. So for some of you, you may already be in single point autofocus, where you see one square through your viewfinder. Now, where you line that square up with what you're seeing, and then press your shutter button down to do that half press focus, that's the area you're focusing on. If you're not in that mode, you might see something more along the lines of about 12 squares popping up all at once. That means you're in the wrong mode, and the camera is deciding where the focus is going to be. We're trying to take a little bit of control back from the camera. Okay, so once you're in that single point autofocus mode, you'll see one square, and wherever you point that square and then focus, that's the area you're focusing on. So for the next part of this lesson, what we really need to do is get you used to taking pictures in that mode. All right, so let's take 10 more photos. We've done 10 before, just getting the focus, get familiar with that in program mode. Okay, and now we're going to take 10 more photos using single point autofocus in that mode.